Emergency episode, August 15th. Oh man. No. In-season tournament schedule release, Andy. You know, we're deep in the off season and we're like any news item pod time.
It's funny because the NBA drops the schedule like it's the Super Bowl. I find it interesting that the NBA tried to do the same thing with the midseason. Look, it's the first one. It's the inaugural version, so there was not going to be much hype around it. I think a lot of people don't even know the rules. I certainly didn't until about a few hours ago when I had to look it up. So I don't know. I think I'm all for kind of fun stuff that the NBA is doing. I like the play-in game. I like the play-in rounds. I thought that was cool. I'm suspect on this one, Sam. We'll get into it. I'm suspect, but, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of – well, we'll talk about it in a minute. But, yeah, so the actual full schedule gets released Thursday. We'll go we'll pod after that. I don't know. It's only so much you can talk about a schedule. We look at it and be like, wow, they played 82 games. Just like last year, 41 at Chase, But, it's fun. It is what it is. It's like cool to look at it and be like, ooh, that road trip's going to be.
They also play fun teams. The schedule is the Warriors play. They're not playing boring teams. All four teams that they play
are really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about the main schedule. But yeah. So we got the play-in schedule. And so I guess we could just talk about the format. The format is there are 6 groups of 5 teams. You play every team in your group once. These all count as regular season games. So it's 4 regular season games. And then the 6 group winners plus 2 wild cards advance to a 8-team single elimination tournament. Honestly, once it's explained that way, I'm like, this really isn't that complicated. The only thing that's kind of complicated is these games count towards a regular season schedule. So it's kind of weird, but I think like you, I'm in for anything that's going to make November hoops better. Because, like, we know how the regular season is where it's boring. And I kind of think this will spice it up a little bit. I could be wrong. They could decide they don't give a fuck and it's not spicy. But I kind of think it will. Now, why don't I share it? Because you're right. The Warriors group, my first takeaway from it, is they gave me a great matchup on my birthday. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Adam. November 3rd, Oklahoma City Thunder. They're like top of my League Pass hipster list anyway. Yes. So just perfect. Exactly how I want to spend my birthday, drinking hazy IPA, watching Warriors Thunder. They also have the Minnesota Timberwolves, San Antonio Spurs, and Sacramento Kings. I mean, my first take on this is like, that's like 4 of the best League Pass teams that I was going to watch all year anyway.
Correct.
So these would have been the regular season games I would get excited for, just because it's like more exciting than a Clipper matchup where Kawhi and PG are going to get load managed.
Or they're not going to play. Right. I am 1,000% agree with you. At the top of my top 5 for League Pass this season is OKC and San Antonio, just because of Wemby. So I mean, this is perfect, man. If you're going to put a little bit of stakes on it. I don't know if the Warriors are going to be the team that takes this seriously. Again, like the only thing that counts is players get paid. I think $500,000. So maybe, it matters for Pajemski and maybe Harry Giles if he makes the roster, or maybe Lester Quinones. It certainly doesn't matter to Chris Paul, who's making $40 million. Same with Klay Thompson, right? But outside of that, I mean, the Warriors still have to take the regular season seriously, unlike they did last season. So all these games are going to be exciting. All those teams that the Warriors are playing are taking this game seriously, because all 4 of those teams are fighting for a playoff spot, and their first playoff spot, like a real playoff spot, right? Sacramento, Minnesota.
Yeah, no one wants to be in the play-in. Minnesota was in the play-in last year, but like
none of them are tanking.
As we know, the Warriors found out the hard way. You don't want to be in the play-in. Weird shit happens. The other thing that I kind of think, you bring up the good question here. Do you think the Warriors will take it seriously? I have a take. I think they will, because I think Steph and Draymond want to say they won the first in-season tournament. I could see the Warriors taking this seriously, being hot as hell in November like they were 2 years ago, and then January and February, they're like, I don't want to say checked out, but you know what it looks like. So considering what we've seen of the Warriors' motivations. I mean, we've seen the Klay Thompson videos. Steph, obviously, no one works harder than him in terms of their conditioning and workouts in the offseason. They seem motivated. I think they're going to come out hot. And this stuff we'll find out Thursday when the regular season schedule comes up. But the season starts the 24th of October, and these games start 2 to 3 weeks after that. So you're talking about, like, I don't know, the 8th regular season game of the season, the 10th regular season game of the season. There's a really realistic chance the Warriors, who I think are very motivated to have a hot start to the season, might see this as even like, I could see Steph and those guys being like, let's just add this. We could say it's another title. It's another thing for our legacy. We may never try this thing ever again if we win it the first time. The second time, if they win it this year, they might just let like Pods and Trace play all 48 minutes next year.
Yeah.
But I can see them. I remember like a couple of years ago when they changed the All-Star game and the dudes got really into it.
Yeah.
That's my best case scenario of how this looks, which I hope is how it goes.
I'm way more skeptical than that for a couple reasons. Because there's nothing that's associated with it. There's no playoff stakes. You don't get home court advantage. It'd be cool if they had that, or maybe a team gets like, if you win this, if you're a tax team, you get the ability to use a taxpayer level or something like that, right? But what I find interesting also with this schedule too is if you pull it back up, the games are weeks apart. They are not played next to each other at within a week. It's played almost across a month. The 3rd, the 14th, the 24th, and then the 28th, so that you've got that Thanksgiving week that makes a little
the last two are like, I don't want to say back to back, but they're a couple
almost
days apart.
Right. So yeah. I mean, for the Warriors, like, it helps them because maybe they'll punt one game and try harder in this game. To me, that makes a lot more sense. The other thing I find interesting is these games are just played where they're played. So this game is just played at OKC. Two at home, 2 on the road. To me, it's like, and during the playoffs and championship, it sounds like those games are also going to be played just wherever they are, maybe outside of the championship. I didn't understand that part, Sam.
Seed. I mean, the way I read it is the higher seed hosts. Yeah. Just the same way any tournament would run. And then the finals are in Vegas. Maybe we'll do a light years Vegas trip.
I thought that would have been cool to do a knockout round in Vegas, 3 games, right? 4 full games for a thing. So again, like, I thought there were some cool things they could have named this, done with this. They also could have named it something cooler. In-season tournament sounds weird. I was told, it was written down that they thought about naming it David Stern. I thought that would be cool. But those are kind of nitpicky. Yeah.
It's going to get named after whoever decides to sponsor the damn thing in a year. It'll be the Apple Cup.
That's a good point.
The Amazon Invitational.
Gosh, that's a good point. I didn't.
And by the way, I would be shocked if the in-season tournament doesn't end up getting sold to one of those streaming providers in 2 to 3 years. It just seems like that's how they're angling. It's like in-season tournament exclusively on Apple TV. Exactly. You see where I'm going with this, right? Like, they can buy a tournament. They don't have to buy all the games.
Yeah.
Let's, NBA make more money, makes us have to buy another damn sub. Like,
I can't even watch Messi, play because it's on like Apple TV and I don't have Apple TV. It's like, what is happening?
It's like, I want to watch Messi, but I just can't pull myself to pay for an MLS package. It's just, I pay for too much content as it is. I just can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
It's too much. So I don't know. Maybe I'm in peak off-season optimist mode, but I think they'll try. I think the Lakers will try. I think LeBron will try. LeBron wants to say, I think LeBron will try, and then he won't play the whole month of January. Yeah. It's going to be like that for some of those veteran teams, in my opinion. And then I think some of the younger players are obviously going to try because it's a new thing. I just hope if players do try, the momentum carries every year, and it's not the sort of thing where it's like, everyone was into it the first couple of years, and then by year 3, it's the load management cup. you know?
Yeah. That's really the biggest issue. Is not really the first year, because things can go bad or right the first year, but it really is about, can they put momentum towards the next 5-10 years? Does this become a thing 10
Right.
years
Do
from now?
people want it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because maybe they nix it in like 4 years. Maybe that happens, and that's obviously
Sure.
not great. But they could try something else. Like, didn't I think Adam Silver was saying he's been pushing for this for years now. So I don't know. I'm with you on the fact that at least it's something new. November games generally have been pretty boring outside of the first couple weeks of the regular season, because things are so new. But after that, it's pretty boring. And this is a nice in between, right before Christmas, right before kind of the quote unquote real NBA season starts. So it's nice for them to do that. It's the same regular season games. You only add one championship game, right? So I think young teams get to prove a lot in these. I think maybe it's a showcase for some of these teams like OKC, like Chet Holmgren maybe ends up being the MVP of the in-season tournament. Like, that'd be cool for the NBA. Be cool for them. Anthony Edwards is another obvious one. Like, that'd be cool for them, because these teams aren't winning the championship. They're not going to be in the second or third round of the playoffs. So it'd be cool to see them showcase.
It's like their coming out party. It's like, this guy's officially hitting superstardom type of thing. I could see that. I'm looking at the schedule. You will be shocked to learn absolutely none of these games are on a Sunday. They're all on Tuesday or Fridays is what I'm seeing here, at least for the Warriors. I don't know about other teams' schedules off the top of my head, but I looked up their dates.
Interesting.
Makes sense. Okay. At first, I was kind of like, man, why are they doing it in November? We need something like this in January when you're in the true dog days. You know, nothing worse than January NBA, not quite to the All-Star break. It's just, everyone's dogging it a little bit. Everyone's dragging. But I kind of get it as I thought about it, because beginning of the season, you're more likely to get Steph and LeBron to try. A little more oomph, a little more excitement. If we get to mid-January, you're going to see a lot of dudes punting on the tournament because they have their knees swelling, back hurts, that sort of stuff. So it's kind of like a way to like start the season off to get people excited. We know mid-season's a grind, and then everyone gets back into the NBA at the All-Star break going forward. So
injuries, same thing, right? Like Kawhi's going to get hurt, right? Steph's going to sprain an ankle and be out a month. I mean, it happens every season.
Sure.
So can they just get in front of that? Just get all the fun games in front of that. It makes sense.
Draymond's shoulder's going to be an issue. It is a long season. It's going to happen to everyone, except for the 22-year-olds. but yeah, it's just kind of how it goes. So
you also get the best version of teams, right? The first 20, 30 games of the season. That is who they are. I mean, that it's kind of written about, and statistically it is proven that the first 40 or so games is who they are. Not the last 20. That doesn't, like the Denver Nuggets last season coasted, to your point about the Warriors 2 seasons ago. First 40 games are real. So get these players to play real games.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, Warriors started 18-2. They then went through injuries and kind of midseason malaise. But what happened when the playoffs came around? They were the best team. They won the title. Last year, well, the signs were there. They tried to fight out of it, but they were kind of a 500 team. The first 20 games, the next 20 games, 20 games after that. And, well, wasn't my favorite Warriors season. I'll say that. Anyway, I've flushed it down the toilet. I'm just positive vibes all the time. Maybe it's because the weather is beautiful. Just good mood. We'll see if my mood stays positive if they decide to mess around in the season again. One other thing to talk about, I guess, because we'll do the full schedule stuff on Thursday. But we recorded on Sunday, and we kind of unloaded on how annoyed we are with Philly. And I wake up Monday morning, and what do we get? I thought this was fake the first time I saw it, by the way. Here, I'm going to play it.
And I will never be a part of Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of.
I guess I give him a point for creativity, because that is out there in terms of just like defiant behavior. I said I thought it was fake. The first time I saw it, I was like, is this AI? Did someone just do one of those like voiceovers of James Harden saying boring stuff at a camp? Because I couldn't believe it.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm with you. It's ridiculous. He's also, and you didn't point this out, he's in China. He's doing a tour for Adidas in China, which is where Daryl Morey got in hot water when he posted Free Hong Kong.
A country he is not welcome in at the moment.
Yeah. It's always hilarious that China loves the Houston Rockets because of Yao Ming like 20 years ago. But besides the point, which is like why Harden gets so many fans out in China. So he knew his audience. He knew anything he said about Daryl Morey. You think those guys over there give a shit about James Harden and Daryl Morey? And I think this is as NBA absurdity, as far as NBA player empowerment absurdity goes, this is right up there with some Kyrie Irving stuff. I think those two they definitely surpass KD. It's not close. What is this, Sam? What is this?
By the way, he's also looking nice and plump, looks out of shape. Yeah, it's just they're having a hard time trading him because no one wants to pay him. Would this make you want to pay James Harden? Like, it's not that he's washed yet. He's still kind of good. Not as good as he used to be, but he's still kind of good. But he's 34. I wouldn't want to give him a 4-year deal. He's not Steph Curry. He's not LeBron James. I don't trust him. He seems like he's going to probably continue to get out of shape and continue to have a harder time coming back from it because the stuff you could do when you were 26 can't do when you're 35, as you and I can profess to.
He just looks like he can still eat the same way, though. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, he can't burn it as fast, is my point.
There you go. I know. It's funny because I think James Harden's legacy is going to become this when it's very clear that this dude was easily one of the best players in the NBA for a long stretch of time. And now he's done this at OKC. It wasn't his fault. They had to get rid of him for tax reasons. Then he goes over to Houston, and then he kicks out Chris
Paul. And they treat him
like
a king there.
Right.
They do everything he wants. They get rid of Chris Paul. They get rid of Russ. I mean, honestly, Morey's biggest crime is probably been enabling him all those years.
Yeah. So not even done yet, Brooklyn. So Morey gets him from Brooklyn, and then he goes to Philly, and now he does the same thing. And yeah, I mean, his point, and we haven't even talked about this. His point is that he took the player option. He opted in because he was promised, and I believe him. He was promised that he was going to be given a larger contract after that. And also they would get better players. They would get PJ Tucker,
He took less last offseason, so they had room to pay PJ Tucker and Daniel House. And he was under the impression that doing that, they would give him a full max the next summer. Technically all of that's illegal, by the way.
It is. But do you believe him? I believe that they talked about it, and that was probably the understanding.
I don't think he took a discount out of the kindness of his heart.
Fuck no. And so, but then you watch James Harden last season, even in the regular season, and then you watch him in the postseason. He does his usual James Harden shenanigans, and I don't know, it's Daryl Morey or whatever. Maybe Philly just leadership goes, yeah, we're not doing this for 4 years.
Yeah,
we're not doing this.
Their Joe Lacob is named Josh Harris. You think he's just letting Daryl give this guy $200+ million? Like, I don't know. I don't follow Philly that closely, but would it shock you if ownership's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
After what he did the last 2 playoffs, we're not doing that. Not when no one else is going to give him that kind of money. We're not just going to give him $50 million when no one else is going to give him over 30, So I don't know. I think the other part of it, which often gets unsaid here, is Harden thinks he can make this really uncomfortable. But how many things do you think Daryl Morey knows about James Harden over the years that have never come out? Dangerous game to play when you live the lifestyle that he does. Dangerous game to play when, Morey is not going to say it publicly, but like you get into that sort of a pissing match. Harden might have a lot more to lose than Daryl Morey does.
I can see this becoming like a Russell Westbrook situation to where, like, what's Russ's contract right now after kind of like
same as like Corey Joseph.
You know what I mean? Like now all of a sudden, and it happened quick, and Russ is still a good basketball player. Like I wouldn't say I think he's worth more than what he's getting paid, but I could see that
he's better than a vet minimum guy, but that's all. Yeah, you're right. Like you could go from max to happened to Melo too. Melo wasn't really my cup of tea, but he was a max guy.
Right, same here.
And then all of a sudden he turns into a vet minimum guy. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. I mean, I could see the Harden thing getting so toxic that he's going to have to be I'll go somewhere for a vet minimum because that's the only way I can get a team to take me.
It's insane. Now, I thought the same thing maybe could have happened to Kyrie, but I think Kyrie's younger. He's 31. So I think Kyrie's next contract, whatever it is probably going to mirror something like this. But again, yeah, man, this is... And did I see a rule that pops up?
Yeah.
Right? You can go over.
Okay, so if he just refuses to show up for over 30 days, he doesn't get to hit free agency next year. Because in theory, dudes could just sit a year out and then just become free agents. He can't do that. It's a CBA rule, so he has to show up. It seems like he's just going to try to make this really uncomfortable and see when someone will blink.
What a mess. I mean, what a mess. We talked about the mess.
Maybe they're not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not irrelevant for the content. They'll be entertaining for a moment, but I think the Cardinals' sin was even trading for him. It was pretty clear he was trending in a negative direction. Houston should have gone a different way, Daryl. Now you're going to lose him. Probably going to lose Embiid the next year.
Yep.
Done.
Yeah. When is Embiid requesting a trade? That's bound to happen within the next 6 months or so, right? 6 to 9 months. So, and it's not like what is his trade value? I mean, he's probably going to net something back, but
he'll be 29 next season. So teams will, it's funny. 29, I'll give you a lot of picks for a superstar. 32, 33 with a big contract. I don't know. I'm a little worried they're going to, net out. So,
like, what are the Clips offering for Harden right now? If you had to take a guess,
Norm Powell and Batum or more, like something like something. Basically, a filler and Norm Powell, who's a fine scoring bench guy,
and
right?
And maybe a pick.
Luke Kennard. Oh, they don't have Luke Kennard anymore. What was I saying?
What a mess. Good luck.
Yeah, just like two role players. Nothing of substance, Definitely not like franchise pieces. They don't have picks to really trade, and they're probably not including them. So
can't even get Terrence Mann, who's another fine young player.
I'd rather have Terrence Mann than James Harden, to be honest with you.
I mean, look, that's where James Harden is today. That's where he is today. If he's not good enough to lead you to guaranteed 55 wins and like a second round, third round, then what's his value? Which I think is the point of James Harden right now, because he used to do that in his sleep. As much as his flaws were, he could lead you to 55 plus in a deep playoff run, but now it's not even good enough to do that, especially not on his own.
I don't even know why the Clippers would want him, because they have Westbrook. Imagine Westbrook and Harden again. You got PG and Kawhi. It's just,
when does PG ask out in that situation? Because that's terrible for him. Terrible.
Yeah.
Podcast full time.
Hey, pod's good. You see Stephen A on there?
Great pod. I'm about an hour in, dude. Stephen A is one of the best, if not the best.
Because he's not going to dance around. He's just going to say what he thinks. Won't back down. Very respectable man.
Yeah, he won't back down from players. He won't back down from players,
which is not easy to do.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, not me, but I get why people wouldn't do it, especially when they're new in their careers. But guys like 30 years in, his career's longer than people's ages. One of one.